Rod's working 2 sessions right now, I would assume. He's got the Seesaw session going and the Google session. Oh, Joanne's from AA Wright.
Yeah.
I was at that school last year. And I know I can see teens here logged in with 2 computers. He's ready. Good afternoon. Yes, it's noon now.
Just as everyone was talking, I was fielding another message about those 2. You know how I was mentioning about common names? So I'm getting a message that there's more than one Evan Brown in the board too. So fielding that question and fixing that up.
Yeah, those things are tricky. Sonia, have you been getting a lot of calls or emails from outside of your school?
Yeah, I've had some from, well, that one I didn't even ask where that one was from, to be honest. I'd have to check. But yeah, I've had King George, I've had Winston Churchill, I've had Indian Creek. I think what other schools. Some of them haven't really said, so I don't even ask sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them I just know that that's where they're at, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of all over, not just Indian Creek, which is nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
People
Definitely
that have just said, "Hey, I saw your name and you were helping with the sessions last week," and so yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Good. It's kind of nice when you have a group just to ask questions too. Like I know I did not know about, like I knew of Learn 360 and I used it when I was in the classroom, but like haven't used it for 2 years now. And so then I was like, well, what's Learn 360's passwords and how do we get those? And then the group just, someone always knows. Someone always knows when you have a question. So it's nice to have a group of people to chat with.
Yeah, it's awesome because then too, like you just learn other little things like, oh, I didn't know it could work that way, and you know, so that's neat. I love it.
Yeah, just so many little things. Just getting ready for today's session, I learned a lot. There's so much available on the internet, just like Google it and it's just right there. It's amazing. Like I watched a bunch of videos, got some ideas.
Well, it's nice to just test it back and forth too, right? So we can quickly, oh, I'll share this with you and you know, kind of you test it out. And I just like that part of it, that you can bounce it back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's been the story of the week, right? Is educators coming together, collaborating. I know that the people I've been working with are really sort of working on that networking piece right now and collaborating, building resources together. Yeah, it's really interesting how like small things that are maybe obvious to each and every one of us are amazing to someone else. So and we all have those things. So it's really cool when we get together and we're able to share our collective knowledge and kind of build each other's capacity. So I'm really enjoying that aspect.
Yeah, I really had a great time with Sonia last week, and like the little things were so simple. I'm like, you can do that? It was awesome. Okay, I'm gonna get started. I'm just gonna close down the chat and so welcome everybody. I see that there's a few of you in there. I'm hoping that means that Sonia did such a great job explaining all the beginning introduction things that you need to know for Google Classroom. I'm hoping that's why we have so few people here today, because Sonia did such a great job. Okay, so today we are going to have some time for open questions, and then we're going to give you a few questions that we've been asked. So this is the new to Google Classroom or Google Classroom and Drive, and it's just a follow-up session. It's just so that we can talk about anything that may be quirky or getting in the way of making things go smoothly for you. Today, happening right now, this is our session with Google Suites, but also new to Seesaw is also doing a check-in as well right now. These will be recorded and will be available on the site, the elementary remote learning site that was put out by the board last week. They will be available for people to view. At 1:15 to 2:15 is for the middle session that was happening last week. It's that currently using Seesaw or Google Classroom, and here are the codes. They will be answering some questions that were sent in, and also answering questions from people and that are connecting. And the frequent Seesaw users, the frequent Google Site users, and the Google Meet will be happening next. I'm going to just quickly stop share for a minute, and then I'm going to share again because I forgot to click on my share computer sound, and that's important for the next part. Okay, so now are we sharing now? Sorry, I'm sharing all my mess. That was terrible. Okay, I want to share this screen. You are not supposed to see that, Sonia.
I love seeing everybody's desktops. I think it's really, really fascinating.
What I did was take all of those screenshots that just automatically go to my screen, and I just shoved them all to the side. So I had one that's standing out on the side because we're going to use that one later. This is Sonia's worst nightmare, what she just saw. I just finished a course, so that's why there's so many things there. Okay, so on to the territorial acknowledgement.
Nous reconnaissons que les terres sur lesquelles nous sommes rassemblés font partie du territoire traditionnel des nations Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, et Delaware.
There, that's the one that I wanted to do last week in French that I couldn't because I didn't have the sound share on. So many little things to do when you're working from home. Okay, so yesterday, or last week actually, Tara, Sonia, and I worked with you on getting familiar with Google Classroom and Google Drive and how to operate all of that on the most beginning level. And we're all back here. As you know, Tara and Sonia, they both worked as an assistive tech teacher for quite a few years. They're both in different roles now, but they have quite the background that has helped us last week and will help us again today. Tara, again, is on the keyboard, and she's answering questions in the chat. And we have Teen to go here. Teen works on the elementary program as an instructional coach team. Jana, same thing as well. She is also in an instructional coach role, and you mostly find her working at schools in the South. And Teen, I feel like you've been all over the place.
Yeah, I was putting on the clicks.
Yeah.
Great to be with everybody this afternoon.
Good. I'm glad you're here. And Jana, do you want to pop in there and say hi so everybody can see you?
Hey everybody, I'm just looking at the chat, looking at the participants and seeing if I recognize any names, but I'm happy to be here and support with our three key players there with Tara, Sonia, Gianna, and Sally. And Teen and I think we're happy to be here. Teen?
You got it.
I'm happy you're here. Okay. So remember last week we went over those 6 remote learning guidelines. These have been really useful this week. I'm finding that I'm hearing questions about, decisions that teachers are making, and these 6 guidelines have been instrumental in helping guide what decisions to make for your class when teaching from home. These are also available on the website that we referred to earlier, and we'll show you at the end of the slide deck. They're explained in more detail, and we're going to refer to these somewhat throughout the discussion this morning or this afternoon. So last week we presented on 3 different days. On Wednesday we were just teaching how to log into Google Drive, and create a folder, create document, keep it organized so that you can use it when you create Google Classroom. And then Thursday we created a Google Classroom, and we talked about how to make an announcement in the stream. And then we actually created an assignment but that was on Friday. We are creating assignments and then talking about how to see what your students have done. all of these 3 sessions are on the elementary remote learning site that's been shared with you and will be shared again at the end of the slides. They've been recorded so you can see all of that information if you're missing anything. Anything else to add there, anyone? Okay, I think my mic is, can you hear me, Teen? I can't hear you because you're mic'd. You're muted.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and
Okay.
clear.
I feel like I'm there's some issues with my house internet, right? And I couldn't hear anybody at all. And I'm like, okay, is anybody there? Am I talking to myself? Okay, so Teen, if you can just keep your mic on, that way I can hear at least a little bit of noise, so then I know that I'm it's
right
working
beside you,
here.
Sally. I got
Okay,
you.
perfect. Thanks. Okay, so this is what we're going to do today. We're going to start with talking about getting students connected, and then review how students actually log into Google Classroom, because that could be an issue that's getting in the way. And then we're going to just open up for questions that people have. Once those are completed, we will go to other questions that have been asked or sent in asked during the week or sent in last night through the form that was sent out. And then if there are any outstanding questions, we may defer you on to the next session. Sound good? Okay, so getting students connected, we're going to just stay here and chat about that for a second. Getting students connected has sound like a common issue that's been happening during the week. Jana, what have you heard about this?
So I think that things are going well. I just wanted to remind everybody, and I know that you guys are doing a great job. And just think about if the learning curve is as steep for us as new to Google Classroom teachers, just think about that for the kids as well. So just thinking about it's okay to go slow. So when we go back to our norms and we look at the pace, you don't have to be going quick. Even if it's just getting your kids connected, we do still know that there are quite a few of our students who have reached out for devices. I did like the memo that said that if they had already requested them, that they are all getting them and they're coming. That's great. But there are some kids that still are waiting, and they're probably, I don't know, like we can maybe assume that some of them, their anxiety is going up a little bit because they feel like they're missing things. So I think for me, it's just a reminder that it's okay to go slow and that we have all of these things planned, and that give yourself a break just to be like, try to get your kids connected, and then start some of the curriculum. Now, if you have all of your kids connected, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Just get them used to it. With simple tasks like what do you notice, what do you wonder, those kinds of things, right? Those kinds of easy activities where they can just learn how to post, or they can learn how to comment on your announcement or anything like that. So just getting them started, getting them connected, I think that's the key.
I think that's great advice, Jana. Like, I think about the struggle of for students just being able having to figure out learning online, that can be anxiety provoking for students. So just getting them comfortable and being willing to share online and how to do that and how to do it safely, those things are really important to start
And
off with.
Sally, on top of that, then let's think about now they have a device, but they have 2 other siblings in the home that have to share that device. And so if there's too much happening in their own classroom, then they might be monopolizing the device, and then we end up with some arguments in the household. So it's okay to go slow, I think. I think that's the key message there. It's just pace it right, pace it in a way that works for you, in a way that works for your students. Ask them, how do you feel like the load's going? And I know, from the ministry, it says 5 hours a week for primary students. So
and junior
as well.
And then teen, I think it was 10 hours for 7.
It's 10 hours for intermediates. I think I agree with everything that you guys have said thus far. I think a good kind of framework to start thinking about this for some people might be like, this is September. If you kind of go back to what we typically do in the classroom is during those really crucial initial weeks is setting expectations, building routines, modeling how we would like students to submit things. I think that is a really critical piece of what we need to do now to ensure that the time that we have with them for the remainder of the year is as productive and as frustration and anxiety free for kids as possible. I think that the more that we can give them knowns, that will be a tool for really addressing their anxieties.
Yeah, good points.
Well said. Yep.
The other thing is like you said, Jana, like they might be waiting for devices, but then they also there may be some other issues. Like there could be so many issues that we have no idea, right? So maybe just a phone call home might clarify some of that, so that, because like I know I've had a host of issues with access to the internet and devices, and so I can only imagine like how many different things there could possibly be. Sonia had a good point, that there could be just an issue with actually logging in and getting into the classroom. So that's why we have this bullet here about review students signing into classroom. So Sonia, do you want to tell us about that a bit?
Sure, and actually, if she doesn't mind, the first person that had messaged me about that is actually in our group today, so it's nice to see her on here. So the first person that messaged me was asking about difficulties with student login, and then I had a few more after that, and I was able to send out a video. But our suggestion in the sessions was that students go to classroom.google.com and then log in with their email and their password. So their email was their first dot last at lkdsb.com, and then their password was their student number. So some of the problems that have arose is that when more than one person is using a device in the household, when the student goes to log in or goes to visit classroom.google.com, the device might already be logged in under someone else's account. So maybe a parent was using a Gmail account earlier or whatever the case may be. So the difficulty comes there with then figuring out, how do I switch accounts? How do I go from getting it out of that account and into my account? So I believe you've shared a link later, Sally, that if anybody does want to visit that, there's just a quick little video on how they can quickly switch accounts. So going from the account that maybe their parent was using or a sibling was using, and making sure that they're signed into their own account. So that's another little step as well that could be tricky when you've got several people at home, whether parents are working from home, whether siblings are all doing schoolwork. There could be numerous people logged into different Google accounts.
There's just so many little things that can cause issues and get in the way.
Yeah.
I also wonder, you know, if students had like a buddy system where if they were having a problem getting in, maybe the teacher has connected like two students to each other and said like, you're that person's buddy. Like if they can't get in or they're having an issue with this or that, you know, ask a friend, and then also you can ask me, kind of thing. Kind of like what we do in the classroom. What is that? It's like S2 and then then as the teacher kind of thing. Like you ask your partners
Ask
beside
three
you.
before me. Three
Ask
before
three
me.
before me.
Yeah, absolutely. Because most of these kiddos, they, you know, we're talking junior intermediate here. So most of these kiddos do have phone numbers for friends and things like that they could call quickly, or an older sibling, you know, to help them out with that as well. So yeah, absolutely. Buddies is a great idea.
So as you can see right down here, that's the bit.ly will connect you to the video that Sonia created, and then that's also the QR code. Okay, I'm just going to head back.
Sally,
Yes.
when you move your mouse around, there's a little bar that comes up and covers the bit.ly.
Is there? Okay, I'm going to go
It's the
back for a sec.
navigation tools for Google, so that then they can't
There.
catch. Thanks.
I'm going to give it to the count of 10 here, just for everybody to take a caption of it or snap it if they need it. And then remember, this will also be posted on the site, the elementary, I'm having a hard time with that, remote learning for students from LKDSB. It will be posted on the site. Okay, I'm just going to head back there. Okay, so questions then. Are we going to go to open questions, Tara?
Not yet. We're not getting too many yet. So if you want to start to go through some of the questions that you've seen, that may spark some thinking in the chat, and I can bring any forward that are asked.
Perfect. And yeah, so just go ahead and ask away. If we're talking about something that has nothing to do, go ahead and type in your question though, so that Tara knows that it's there and she can ask after we go through the next one. Okay, so first question. I'd like to play Kahoot with my class through Google Meet. Is it possible to show the Kahoot screen through Google, or should the kids sign up to Kahoot by a certain time and we Google Meet afterwards to debrief? So we had some good chat this morning about this and thinking, you know, what is the best option? And Teen made some good points. So Teen's gonna just come on and tell us his thinking on that.
Sure. I think it's a great idea. It's possible, but it's not ideal, because when you're playing a Kahoot game, the questions are on the smart board. So the equivalent would be the teacher's computer if you're doing screen sharing through Google Meet. And then students, if they're working on an iPad, they have to flip back and forth between the two screens, which isn't going to be ideal. A good alternative might be Quizzes, Q-U-I-Z-I-Z-Z, which is very similar to Kahoot. It's an online platform for kind of gamifying education. But the questions show up on the student's screen. And then it's also self-paced. So one of our principles that we're really trying to support is the idea of asynchronous learning, because students don't necessarily all have devices at the same time. They can't be in the same place at the same time. So one of the ways that we can help alleviate that concern is by using software that allows us to be a little bit more flexible. So with Quizzes, the questions will show up on the student screen. Something you can also do there is you can include it as homework or assigned work. So you give students the link and then they complete it on their own time, and you can look at the results later on. So you can have a game that kind of goes over a longer period of time, maybe the whole day.
So if the teacher were to assign it, say in the morning, and like this note here asks about debriefing after. So if the teacher assigned it in the morning, gave the link, so once that teacher assigns it, the teacher will need to go in, activate the game, like press start, like start the game, and then leave that game open, not necessarily on their iPad. It will be open once they activate it. And then students will be able to play a game, and then maybe after they share it, then, or after they play the game, then say, okay, we're going to meet here at 2 o'clock. And that's when you could debrief if you're trying to do something where you can all meet. It's important to remember, though, maybe some notes after about the debrief, because not everybody's going to be able to connect at the exact same time. That's
Right.
the asynchronous learning, that because there's so many people competing in the house for working, doing schoolwork, that kind of thing, it may not work out for everybody to meet up at the same time.
Right. So like potentially a good tool for doing that kind of format might be something like a Padlet that's open,
that's a good
and
idea.
students could, and it's also multimedia, so students could respond using text, voice, audio, whatever medium they feel would be appropriate.
Teen, were you wanting to share something on the screen here? Because
I
I
was just,
said admit, but then it didn't do anything. So
yeah, it gave me control over your screen, but what I was just going to show what the Quizzes screen looks like.
okay, do you want me to stop share for a second?
Sure.
Okay. You can see Teen's back. He lives in a cartoon world. He's in The Simpsons.
So
Okay.
this is what the Quizzes screen looks like. So if I go into my Quizzes, I'm just going to pull up the sample here. Here's a quick little one on logos. So instead of playing a live game, which we would typically do in a classroom, I can assign it as homework, and then so I can set the amount of time that they have to complete the quiz. So say we wanted to meet again at 6 o'clock, or anytime later on that evening, we could put that, and then I can host the game. And then I also have controls over the aspects of the game as well. So we can give them, they can attempt questions over and over again. Just gives us the control over how that game runs on the computer.
Okay, awesome.
That's awesome. How do students get into that? Can you share like a link onto Google Classroom?
So yeah, I can do that. I can share the link to Google Classroom, or I can just give them the code for the game.
That's awesome.
And then they can even create flashcards afterwards to practice their questions. It's a really great tool.
Yeah, Quizzes is really neat. We could do a whole session on Quizzes because there's so many great features. I love that you can remove the time limits, and you can also so then, like for each question, whereas Kahoot, you have like so many seconds to complete it. I don't know if you can remove that or not in Kahoot, but I know in quizzes you can remove that.
Yeah.
Teen, do you want to stop sharing screen and then I can go back to the slide deck? There we go. Okay, so next question. Was there any questions there, Tara, about that?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay. Next question. I've been creating classwork using Word docs. So if you think about and like what we showed you last week was Google Drive, and we created docs in Google Drive. So those aren't Word docs, those are Google Drive docs. So there's a difference between the two. So this person's saying that they've been creating classwork using Word docs. And my parents, students in grade 3 are having difficulty opening and writing on them. Should I use Adobe PDF or another program to create work? Most of my students are using iPads. So we're going to exit out of this slide here, and Sonia and I are going to talk to you about this. We're going to go over to our Google Classroom, and actually no, we'll go to the Drive. So let's go back to here. So when you're in Google Drive, we showed you last time that you can just click on that magic button there and create a Google Doc, and it brings you a blank document. It is very much like Word, except for it's in Google Doc. Right, Sonia?
Yes, so the benefit of that is that since it's being made within Google Docs, it's already ready for students to be able to use their Google Read and Write tools with it if they wish. So then making it accessible to all. That's the main thing there that we want to remember, is making it accessible for all students. So with a Google Doc, when you're creating that, it's already set to go. Students have full access, when you grant them that access, to use their Google Read and Write tools to continue and answer right on the page, and they're set to go. With something created like in a Word doc, if you just shared the Word doc or Adobe or whatever you're using, it's not the same case. They have to take steps or measures to sort of convert that or to have it converted. So starting off in a Google Doc is your best way. Now, if you're a person that's just sort of making the change and you're like, well, I've already got all these files, I already have all these pieces that I used, previously, and I'd like to use them again, we can load those into our Google Drive. And actually, chatting with Teen earlier today, we found some other solutions as well. But one of the things that we can do for some things that maybe are sort of more image type, so if we've taken a science text or something like that and taken a picture of that, we can put those through Snapverter to convert them and make them accessible. But a simple Word doc can be loaded into our Google Drive and then opened as a Google Doc.
Mm-hmm. So can I just make a point here before we go to that, Sonia, real quick? So when you're creating this in Doc, like you can just leave the empty space here and students can type in, and it's pretty simple to, like, just as you would in a regular Word doc. Right? So ideally, if you are creating, and that's what the person in the question said, they are creating. So if they're creating, then create in Doc, because that is going to be the most simplest way for you to do that.
Yes. Yeah. If it's new, if it's a new thing that you're making, start off right away in Google Docs. Don't start off in something else. Start fresh from a Google Doc.
Now, if it's a Word doc that you have, though, you are going to go here and you're going to upload, just like we learned last week, right? You're going to upload the image, the doc, or whatever it is. In this case, it would be a Word doc. So you're going to click on File, Upload, and you're going to upload that doc. And then you're going to open it with Google Docs, and it will transfer over. I can't show you that because I don't have a Word doc in here. I probably should have uploaded one, but I didn't. But I have other things that we're going to actually transfer over into from a different, like a PDF or an image. We're going to transfer over, and it's the exact same process with the Word doc. So that's going to lead us into our next question.
Can we also show how to automate that process? So if we upload a doc, Google Drive will automatically convert it?
Yes. Want to do that right now before we go into that other part then?
Sure.
So Teen said, if we go into this settings button, is that correct, Teen?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You click it, and then
Yep.
what do we do?
Click settings. And you've already enabled it. So that second option is convert uploads.
So when we went in this morning, it wasn't there.
Right.
It wasn't clicked. So you have to actually go in, because it's not an automatic thing then. You have to go in, you have to click it, and then just go done, and then it will automatically convert.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to click done. So remember, it was just here and then in settings.
Right.
Okay. So if we go back to our slide deck, that leads us into that next question. So the next question was, what PDF tool should I use to allow students to type directly on a document that I scan? So there's a bunch of different documents that you will want to open up in Google Docs so that students can work in it. So that might be a PDF, which a PDF as it is, it's not really edible. You can't work on it. It's a PDF. It's just like a picture almost. You can also take pictures, or you can take Word docs, right? There's anything that you can access and upload as something that you put into your space, your Google Drive space. We can try and transfer that over into a Google Doc. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. We're going to come back to this slide. We have two QR codes and PDFs. One's for taking a PDF and moving it to a Google Doc. One's for taking a scanned item and moving it to a Google Doc. The process is basically the same. It's the same thing, but I've got them both here just in case you want to see some different examples.
I also think that.
Go ahead, Teen.
I also think that Tara and Sonia brought up a really great point, or a really important point this morning in our discussion, was that idea of universal design for learning, and making sure that what we know is essential for some is accessible to all. It's so just having that kind of front of mind as we're designing our structure and setting up our lessons, I think, is really key. So thank you for bringing those points up this morning.
Yeah, and we'll probably talk more about those, I think, as we go here, as we show what we're meaning by universal design for learning. I know as teachers we've all been exposed to that, but just making it accessible to, like, the reading and the writing accessible to everybody. I think Sonia's we'll talk more about it as we go here. Sonia?
Sure. So I just wanted to sort of reiterate too what Sally was saying about the differences about being editable. So some material is viewed as an image rather than text.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're taking a picture of, say, a science text or something like that, it is just that. It's a picture of text. It's not actually text. And so that's the big thing. We want to turn that into text. So we want to make sure that OCR, optical character recognition, we want to make sure that the characters, the actual text, is being recognized as text and not as an image. So that's where it gets tricky, and that's why it won't read for some students, or why students can't edit on it. So we want to make sure that it's in that format.
Okay, so first thing I was hoping we can do, Sonia, is take a PDF and put it into Google Docs. Because that question came in through the forums, and it also came to me last week. So I know it's a big question that everybody's wanting to be able to do. So I went on, I'm not sure, it was maybe Science A to Z or Reading A to Z, and they have a free membership right now. And so you can use a text and share that with your students. So that's what I've taken a document, but it's a PDF. So I can't edit it at all. It's just a PDF. So I've taken it and I want to put it into my drive before I can change it over to a doc. So there are two ways we can do that. We could go this way and file upload and find that doc like we have shown you in the last week, or if it's on our desktop, we can just click it. Whoops, I want to do that, sorry. Click it and then drag it. Oh, I'm not sure why it's not letting me. That's odd. Maybe I can't do that. I did it. Oh, wait, there we go. I don't know, my computer's being silly. I did it last week, or I did it this morning. Oh, there we go. Just had to let me grab it. So see how it's turning it blue? I can just drop it and it uploads. So it's going to upload that item. Now you can see it's a PDF. If I go in it, I can't edit it. I can't do anything. I could copy it by highlighting and then copying, and then I could paste it in a document, but that's not what we're going to do right now. Just wanted to show you that this is a PDF. We can copy it if we chose. So now I've got it as a PDF, Sonia. What should I do?
Well,
Move it to a doc.
So yes, so this is the part that Teen was talking about this morning. So I'm going to let him.
Okay, I can talk. Sorry, I thought you were gonna. I can guide it through. It's fine.
I would
we
do
go to
it
open with.
Yeah.
Okay, so we found a few different ways. So I would double click on this or right click, and then this will come up. I can go open with, and that's Google Docs right there. So all it's going to do is open in a Google Doc, and then it's going to be editable. It's not going to look exactly as it looked on the PDF. It's going to look different, but it's going to be editable. All the information is going to be there. So you can see it's taken the text and it's brought it in for us. The pictures are not there. So it's all in there, but you're going to have to do a little bit of work to like tidy it up so that the students can actually use it, right? So purpose, materials, you're going to fix it up so that it looks better under the headings and students are able to read it and it's going to make sense. But the information is all there for you to work with.
Sally, can I take over your screen? Can I?
For sure. I'm going to stop share.
So the other way that I just wanted to mention, and this is a whole nother lesson on its own, but definitely something to look at. So if that were me, what I would do is go to my Snapverter folder. So I've loaded Snapverter already. And I would, the same way that Sally sort of clicked and dragged or uploaded that document, I would drop it into this drop here to convert folder in my Snapverter folder. Within seconds, it will end up going into the progress folder, and then it will appear in the finish folder. It will be converted with the picture, so you won't lose your pictures, your images in the background, but it will be converted into a readable document that Google Read and Write can use. So later, once you're comfortable with Google Classroom, I would really encourage you to look into Snapverter and try messing around with that. It converts your materials or your scans into editable, readable materials for students to use with their Google Read and Write tools. So getting that Snapverter going, and it's basically simply a folder that gets loaded into your Google Drive. And from there, you can open it up and drop and drag any documents. So even with your phone, so on my phone, I have Google Drive. So as long as you have Google Drive on your phone, you could snap a photo of your science text again, or whatever it is, snap a photo, drop it into your Google Drive, the drop here to convert, and it makes it into that editable, readable document that that can be shared with students then and used with their Google Read and Write tools. So I know that Tara was talking a little bit earlier about the Sister Tech team working on some materials for there. So whether that's a session coming up in the near future, or whether you would wish some materials, but again, once you're comfortable, if you want to contact one of us, we'd be happy to share some materials with you for that. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing. There we go. Okay, so yeah, like it doesn't come with all the pictures. Like Snapverter's like the better, like it's going to give you a better quality. So the same thing happens with scannable material. Like, so if you've scanned something from your, like a scanner, and you've put it into your computer, or you've taken a picture, or you've taken a screenshot, that happens all the same way with this Google Doc. So I'm just going to close this. And let's say that I want to upload an image that I've taken a screenshot of from the internet. So I'm going to go here, and I found an image and I'm uploading it. Okay. I picked this one out for teen because it's a dad joke. So I uploaded it. You can see it's a screenshot, right? And so now I want to click it, double click it, or right click, open it, and go with Google Docs. And so then it's going to open with Google Doc. So then the text will be in there. The image is there. We can't click on this and like have it read or anything. But if we go down here, the text is in there and it's editable if you want it like that. Now, like Sonia was saying, like ideally you want this accessible for everybody, and that the way to get to that is for students to have read and write extension on their keyboard, and also Snapverter would have all the images. So then if they wanted to and you had downloaded this with Snapverter, you could just click on those words and those words would start reading right away. It's not like you would have to go and like do anything different. It's right on the image, so it's reading the text on the image, which is really useful for students. So the way to do that then again, so the way we've talked about here, there's a few ways, but the way that we're showing you today is basically you upload, and then once you upload, you click on that PDF, you open with, and you go to a doc. Okay. There was one other way that we talked about that you could possibly do this.
Oh, Sally, can I interrupt for a sec? So can you, stay on that screen for a moment.
Yep.
So once you open it with a doc, just be aware, you now have 2 files in your drive with the same title. So it would be the one that's in a doc that you would then share in Google Classroom with students, right? So once you've opened it with the doc, with Google Docs, then it creates that second file, same name, but now you see one is a PDF, one is Google Doc format. So that's the one that you would share in your Google Classroom.
Oh yeah, good point. This one, the one with the doc. Okay. So now if you wanted to say have like a image that you want students to work on, you don't have Snapverter and you don't have all that yet, but you have Google Slides. So we've talked about, say you have an image and you choose it for the background. So I'm going to just go back. I'm going to click on background and I'm going to choose an image to go to the background. And let's see if I can find what I put in here this morning. I found a image of a Freyer model. Okay, so now that's as my background. Students can't change it unless they go to the background and change, but when you share, you're going to make sure you share it so that it's actually no, they would be able to go and change the background, I think, because you're going to be sharing it so that the students can actually work in it. So they could, they're probably not gonna, but they could. So how can they work with this? Well, all you have to do to set this up is just click on the text box and make a text box there for them. Anywhere you want them to do some work, just create the text box. So then when they come and sign in, they're going to see this and then they're going to go to write and then they can start typing in there. The nice thing about slides is that it has a whole bunch of features too that they could go in and add shapes. Say they were talking about rectangles or quadrilaterals. They might be able to add an image to help explain their thinking. They can also insert images to help. So that's the nice thing. If you have something that you want them to actually do the work on and you don't have Snapverter, you could put it into Google Slides and share it that way for them. Just making sure that.
Yes, and in here as well, they can use their Google Read and Write tool. So if they want to use their text-to-speech, they can do that.
They could do it down here, or they can do it within the text box.
Right.
Correct, Sonia?
A quick tip for if you're choosing to add those text boxes is to maybe put the outline of the box and then put type here inside that box so students know that that box has already been created.
Yeah, you could do that. Type here. Whoops, my typing's not that great. Type here, and then to put the outline of the box, we just go to border weight. Right now it has none, so we could click on 2 and then it will show the box within there. Okay. So remember, we just went to the background, we chose the image, and then that set as the background. And then we added the text boxes. Okay, I'm going to close that for a second.
One thing to keep in mind when you're doing that, those little titles, so it said definition examples, those will not be readable with Google Read and Write. So if you know that you have students that are using those types of tools, you might want to put that in your, where you put type here, you might want to say type your definition here, right? So
That's
that
right.
they can have that instruction read to them.
That's right. So so should we just go in quickly and show them how to share that Google slide, Sonia? Okay.
Sure, that would be a good idea.
Okay, so we're in Mrs. Mitchell's room. We're going to go to the class.
Yeah.
And then we are going to create. And that's an assignment.
So yeah, you're gonna make sure you give it your title, whatever you are asking there, and then your instructions. And then the next thing we're doing is we're going to click on that add button. And it was already in our Google Drive. So we're going to go to Google Drive. And Sally's going to choose that slide that she created. There it is. And so now that's in there, so what the important part is first of all, make sure that you choose whether you're going to have students just viewing the file, so you're holding one big page up for everybody to see, whether students can edit the one file, so that one again is like giving a piece of chart paper into the middle of the classroom and letting everybody write on that one piece of chart paper, or are you making a copy so that every student has their own to edit? So in this case, she would want everyone to have their own copy. The next part we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we choose a topic. So remember, we want to keep our Google Classrooms organized so that the materials are easy to find. So in this case, Sally already has a language topic, so we're going to click on language. And then she's also going to think about, before she assigns it, she's going to think about, does she want all students to get this assignment? So right below the assign button, does she want everybody to get it? Or does she want a select small group? Does she want just a few students to get it? So she can choose whether she wants everybody or just a few. Once she's made her choice, then she can click the assign button or schedule it to be assigned later.
I think I'm going to do a schedule to assign just so that we have an example in there for the next question. And we're getting close to time here, so I want to just quickly assign this. So I'm going to assign this so that it will go out Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. And I'm going to press schedule. Okay. So I think that kind of answers that question. We're going to go back to our slides real quick. And I'm going to just hold this up here so that if you want the bit.ly or the QR code, if you want to grab a screenshot of that now, this is going to also be recorded, remember. So in these videos basically share what we just talked about, but they are there if you need them. Okay, so now we'll go to the next slide. So this leads us into that question. So do scheduled items appear as a draft until the scheduled time is reached? So remember, we just scheduled an item to go out on Tuesday morning. So we're going to go back and see what it looks like in our classroom. So here's Mrs. Mitchell's classroom, and here's some language topics that have been scheduled. So this one that we just made, the Frere model, it says scheduled. So that means it's going to go out on this date and at this time. Now this one here yesterday, no, this one here, posted at 8:01 a.m. This one I scheduled yesterday to go out, and it looked like this yesterday, but then it went out this morning, so it now shows as posted. This one is a draft. This is what it will look like if you have a draft. That means like you're getting it ready, you didn't have time to finish it, you're saving it for later, you haven't assigned it, no students are going to see it, you're the only one who's going to see it. Sonia, is there anything to add to that?
If they want to make any changes, so let's say Sally has scheduled it to go out, but she's just realized that, nope, that's not a good time, I need to change that. Again, she can visit the 3 dots that's on the right-hand side, and she can edit that assignment and change her scheduled time if she wishes from there. So that's one thing she can do. The other thing, Yep, so she can just change that if she wants. There you go. And schedule again. Yep.
Okay.
So the other thing to keep in mind from here is that, let's say, you know, she's scheduled that one to go out, and when it goes out, it'll obviously, the newest ones always go to the top, but she wants something else to stay to the top. Just remember that those can be organized the way you wish by pulling them around, right? So we can pull them between the topics and change the order that they're in if we want to as well. So just some other little tweaks that we want to do.
Okay. Right now, are there any questions, Tara?
I was just fielding a really great question, which might be good to share a quick view for everyone. So
Sure.
if I could get you to go to a Google Doc. I have
Okay.
a question about a student being able to use a pen to mark up something. So I was explaining in an iPad, that's a fairly straightforward thing. You can write on easily, but on a Chromebook or a desktop, if we go up to the Insert tab there, Insert, and down to Drawing, and make a new one. Now a student can actually, it's a little bit more difficult with a keypad or a mouse, but a student can add pre-selected sizes or shapes, or they could freehand draw something to explain their math thinking. And then from there, when they save and close, it will appear inside the Google Doc for submission.
How do we draw? I don't know how to draw with this.
I think you pick up the pen there. There's a pen tool. Oh no, that's border. Maybe it, oh, hang on. When you clicked on those dots, I thought it gave us more options.
Okay.
Far side. There we go, 3 dots. There's one, that's a highlight color, nope. So arrows, I guess, and shapes are what they're looking at, or they could embed
Okay.
it in there as
Yeah,
well.
or straight lines.
Yeah.
They're straight lines.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
not ideal.
I thought I did see a drawing tool though. Can you save and close that one, Sally, and go again? Insert, and we went down to drawing. Yep, new. Just see for a second when it first popped up. No, I guess not. Okay. I thought there was.
I've been trying to play with this for a few days, and there's not like I wish there was more of a pen tool where it was like a free drawing, but I don't believe it is free drawing. I agree with Teen. I think it's some straight lines, some curvy lines, some arrows and shapes, but I don't believe that you could use a pen for that.
So one
Yeah,
thing,
if they really want to draw, they can use Google's drawing tool, draw.google.com, draw in there, and then they can save that to their Google Drive. So see how we could input a drawing from the Google Drive? That would be another option. Kind of a little bit unwieldy though.
yeah, like I'm thinking about like just even take a picture of a blank piece of paper, and then you know how you can edit the image and you can do markup? You could draw something on that in markup, save that image, and then upload it and put it into your doc if they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, Tara?
Nope, I think we're fielding most of them as they come in. So
there was a question from Ingrid.
Yep.
About students accidentally deleting a question in a doc. So maybe can you go back into docs for a moment,
sure.
and we can show we can show versioning.
Yep, for sure. Okay, so let's go into this document. Okay.
So say that was a question, and then it was deleted. The student accidentally deleted it. We could use that. We could use the undo.
Sorry, I'm just going to delete it. Okay.
Yeah, so we can use the undo or Control Z, which will serve the same function. Okay.
Yep.
If we want to go back further, we can also go to File and go down to Version History, and that will show all of the edits that have been made to this document. So anytime there's an edit made, it will be tracked in there. So if they want to go back to a previous version, they can also do that there. So if you hit the 3 dots from maybe,
okay,
and you can make a copy of that version now. You can bring it back, or you can hit restore at the top.
Oh, wow. So I like that you can make a copy of that version if you wanted.
Right.
And then you have the old version, you have the new version.
Right.
If you want to go back to the new version there.
Right. It also gives us like kind of an overview of how students have been working on a document. So what happened at kind of throughout the stages, so we can think about how we could support them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's neat. Okay, so I think it's 12:52, so I think we're going to stop answering like questions that we had in our slides. Unless there's any other questions, Tara, that you'd like us to answer. No?
Nope, I think we're good right now. Thanks.
Okay. So Jana, are you going to send us off here?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Sally, Sonia, Tara, and team. That was fantastic. I feel like I'm just a participant and learning as I go as well. So that's fantastic. But we are here to help you. So number one, reach out to a coworker who might already be using Google Classroom as well. That would be a really great place to start. I know Sonia, she's been in a few buildings, and so she's supporting a couple of buildings as well. And I know that she's always eager to help. Sonia, I love that. Teen is also very knowledgeable. So his email is up there, and Sonia's email is there as well. So set up that support team. Set up people who are going to be able to support you with your questions. I don't believe we're doing another one of these sessions. This was just like kind of a one-off to say, hey, how are you guys doing? How do you have any questions from us? But we are here to support you. And as well, you've got Sally, and we've got Teresa and myself. So you'll notice that myself is number 6. I would go through the first 5 first, but I'm willing to help, and I am. If I don't have the answer for you, I will find it out for you. Okay, Sally, next slide. So what you see here, we have set up some pop-ins with program. And so what you'll notice is we're having weekly office hours, the same as you guys would for your classes. So starting on Monday, although this Monday is Easter Monday, so we are not having the intermediate in the Google Suite session. So the first session that program will have is Tuesday, primary and Seesaw. And that is with Sam and myself and Nicole as well. And then you'll notice the whole week, take a screenshot of that if you want. That's a pretty nice slide there. It has your Zoom code.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. It has the password all set up for you. And that's going to be the same time every week. So feel free to pop into one, or if you're cross-divisional, you can pop into a couple of them if you want.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about it because I think that it's just going to be like it's like a coffee break. Do you know what I mean? Like when I would go into the staff room, I'd be like, oh man, I'm trying to figure this out. And you just kind of put it out there, and like there's always somebody who has an idea for you. So
this is exactly right. That's the point. We just want it to be really informal. We're going to be popping in, seeing what's working, seeing what challenges people have. Maybe having some guest teachers that are maybe doing something that they want to share with everybody. And so anybody who shows up, that's great. If you have questions beforehand, send those questions out to us so that we can be prepared like we were today. Did I miss anything there, Sally?
No, that's great.
That's good. So there is our remote learning site, bit.ly, if you want to just take, yep, there we go, perfect. A screenshot of that or connect to that. Wealth of information on that resource site. So that's been fantastic with our program team putting that together. You have the blog spot as well. There's a link from the blog spot to that.
Yeah, really easy. Just if you don't have the bit.ly or the QR code, just go to the blog spot and click on the link. It'll take you right there.
That's right.
Okay.
So here we are. Look at that. Thursday it is. Tomorrow is Good Friday. So have a great long weekend. And just remember too, for your students, they may not be logging on Friday or Monday either, just because they know that it's a holiday. Enjoy. It's well deserved. And just remember what I said at the beginning. It's about that pacing, right? It's just about giving yourself that permission to get those kids connected. You guys have done an incredible amount of work learning how to get onto Google and learning it yourself. And so you should be very proud of yourself. And I just want to thank everybody that's been part of this, Sally and Sonia and Tara. You guys really set up last week an incredible series of sessions for us so that we can learn together.
Well, thank you. And I definitely could not have done it without Sonia and Tara. They know so much. And so they've definitely made this easy for all of us. So thank you. And thank you to all of you who are working hard out there, learning all these new platforms. Not an easy job. But hey, our brains are all growing. Okay, have a good weekend. Anybody else have any?
Have a great Easter, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate everyone's effort this week. It's been remarkable what we've done for kids. So thanks.